Hi guys, things are not going very well for the Tory party. They lost a number of by-elections recently and the public mood is dead set against them. Rishi Sunak tried to relaunch himself as a radical who doesn't plan to move forward but backwards in a number of areas, and he isn't delivering the boost the party had hoped. As we know, Labour are leading in the polls ahead of any general election, and that margin has remained pretty steady. However, Sam Coates here from Sky News looked at Tory voters from 2019 and which way they plan to vote at the next general election. I've said before, Reform UK is the party to watch, so what impact will they have?
OK, this is the group that matters in the general election. Now, first of all, I want to start with something you might recognise. This is where we are at the moment. You can see a huge lead for the Labour Party, 48%. 24% ahead of the Tories, so exactly half of where Labour are at the moment. But it's that figure, Beth, I want you to concentrate on it. Because if you remember, in the 2019 general election, the Tories got actually 44%. And one of the questions in British politics at the moment is what's happened to all of that vote? This poll tells you all about it. And here it is. So it's a huge sample size, by the way, so we've gone into quite a lot of detail. 40% of people who voted Tory in 2019 still would vote Conservative. That's less than half. That's quite a big drop-off rate. That's a problem for the Conservatives. But look at this, a really large number of people who intend to vote but just don't know what they're going to do. Could they go back? We don't know, but that's the group that Tory strategists are focusing on. 12%, the third biggest group, are going to Reform UK. Now, this is absolutely fascinating. Now, it's not necessarily a big household name. 12% is, but it's above the Labour Party. The Reform Party is to the right of the Conservatives, and as I say, it's higher than Labour. It's basically 1 in 10 voting, or switching all the way to the Labour Party. That is when Tory strategists tell you that there aren't a large number of switchers, this data backs that up. Now, this is the critical column. Don't knows. What could happen to them? So we've drilled into them. Look at this. Actually, undecided people who voted Tory in 2019, pretty much like Rishi Sunak. There's a net positive rating for him. But look at this. Keir Starmer, minus 61%. So this group of voters don't like him. So even though a lot of them are not voting at the moment, Tory again, they don't like him. They do like him. They're also really into immigration. That's their top issue, we found out. So could we see, if we go back to this key growth, could we see some of these people more likely to go to the Conservatives? Quite possibly on the basis that they like the issues and they like the Tory leader. We're going to have to wait and see.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see, yes. Now, I just want to focus on this aspect of this report first. This is not surprising. The party leader is generally more popular than the party. So, of course, people who used to vote for the Tories, people who voted for the Tories in 2019 and are unsure now, will, of course, have a more positive view of Rishi Sunak than perhaps of the Conservative Party. And if these people are Tories and still identify as Tories, then, of course, they're not going to have a very positive view of Keir Starmer. So that's not really anything to worry about for the Labour Party. But back to this main graph here. This is extremely worrying for the Conservatives. Now, we have to add a lorry load of caveats. We're not in an election campaign at the moment. So, of course, the polls will narrow. The Tories are going to pull out all the stops. They're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the general election. And they're going to play as many dirty tricks as they can. So the polls will narrow. They're going to call Keir Starmer and the Labour Party all sorts of names and hope that something will stick and help them out. So this is not really indicative of what we're going to see as we get closer to the general election, but it is informative. So it is very concerning for the Conservatives that only 40%, less than half, still will vote Conservative. They're sure of that. The big number, of course, is the don't knows. But I want to focus on Reform UK because this is Nigel Farage's baby. And so far, he hasn't jumped on board. He hasn't thrown his full support. He hasn't really campaigned for them, not in a real sense. Now, this could change if he were to really campaign on behalf of Reform UK, use his platform, be it on social media or on GB News. This could frighten the Conservatives. Now, this data, once again, isn't all that great because we're not looking at marginal seats. This is just the This is the country as a general. So you're not able to see in, where people are switching to the Labour Party or Reform UK in marginal seats, because that's really going to be the one that will determine the general election, who wins, number 10, the marginal seats. Because you can have people switching to the Labour Party in a safe Conservative seat, that's not going to make that much difference. But if it's in a marginal seat and you have people switching to Labour or Reform UK, that could be really damaging for the Conservatives. So there are a lot of caveats here. We're not in an election campaign. We don't know. We don't see data for marginal seats. Those are the ones that will be the real definer. And we don't know if people like Richard Tice and, more importantly, Nigel Farage are going to campaign strongly for Reform UK. As Sam pointed out here, a lot of the don't knows, their primary concern is immigration. And that could be a big concern for Rishi Sunak, because if he's not able to stop the boats and Richard Tice and Nigel Farage claim that they can, this could see a significant number of people who voted for the Conservatives in 2019, hoping to get Brexit done and hoping to take back control, switching to Reform. And once again, Reform UK are not going to pick up seats, but that's not their goal. The goal is to move the Conservatives further to the right. And if they move too much to the right, of course, this will help the Labour Party. So it's all very interesting, but I think it's a bit academic at the moment. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.